What if the bars of your prison are invisible, and you're the one holding the key? What if everything you believe about yourself, your limits, and the world around you was never yours to begin with? What if you've been asleep, in plain sight? There are chains that don't rattle. They don't make noise, and no one sees them wrapped around your thoughts. But they are there, subtle, quiet, and deeply rooted. They keep you small. They make you doubt your instincts. They make you second-guess your dreams. And the worst part, most people live their entire lives never realizing these chains were never real. You were not born limited. You were born infinite. But then, the programming began. From the moment you opened your eyes, the world began writing your script. Be this, do that, don't ask questions. Stay safe, fit in, be good. And over time, piece by piece, your wildness was tamed. Your fire was contained. Your truth was replaced with fear, obedience, and silence to wake up. You don't need to add more to who you are. You need to subtract, remove what isn't yours. Break the chains that were forged by culture, fear, and control. Only then will you see clearly. The first chain is the illusion of authority. From birth, we're trained to obey. Parents, teachers, religious leaders, bosses, governments, someone is always standing above you, saying they know better. And sometimes, yes, guidance is needed. But too often, we confuse control for wisdom. We hand over our inner compass and let others tell us what's right and wrong, true and false, good and bad. The moment you believe someone else's truth more than your own experience, the chain tightens. The moment you silence your voice because it contradicts an expert, you lose a piece of your sovereignty. Authority is not the enemy. Blind obedience is. The awakened mind respects wisdom but questions everything. It listens deeply, then tests, feels, and decides for itself. The second chain is the fear of being wrong. We've been taught that being wrong is shameful. That mistakes are failures. That if you don't know, you're weak. But in truth, every breakthrough, every moment of clarity, every leap in consciousness begins with being wrong. Awakening means unlearning. It means realizing that half of what you believed yesterday might not be true today. It means watching your ego panic as old identities crumble. And it means allowing yourself to grow beyond who you thought you were. The fear of being wrong keeps people clinging to broken systems, toxic relationships, and empty beliefs. They'd rather stay in the comfort of the known than face the disorientation of change. But truth lives on the other side of discomfort. Growth requires collapse. The awakened mind is not afraid to say, "I don't know," because that is the doorway to wisdom. The third chain is the addiction to validation. We are social creatures. We want to be loved, seen, understood. But somewhere along the line, the need for connection turned into a prison of performance. We began editing ourselves to earn approval. We dressed a certain way, spoke a certain way, believed a certain way, not because it was true to us, but because it made others accept us. This is spiritual slavery. The addiction to being liked will silence your soul. You will hide your real thoughts. You will play small. You will betray yourself over and over again just to fit into a world that doesn't even know who you are. Waking up means reclaiming your voice. It means being willing to be misunderstood, to be disliked, to be rejected by those who only ever knew your mask. Because when you finally stand in your truth, raw, unpolished, and whole, you will attract what's real. And what's real will never require you to shrink. The fourth chain is the myth of control. We've been sold the idea that if we work hard enough, plan long enough, and perfect ourselves thoroughly enough, we can control life. We can make things happen. We can avoid pain. We can predict the future, but reality doesn't work like that. Life is chaos and pattern, mystery and logic, grace and destruction. Trying to control it all is like trying to hold the ocean in your hands. The more you grip, the more it slips away. True power comes not from control, but from surrender. From aligning with the current, not fighting it. From trusting that even the detours serve a higher purpose. The awakened mind doesn't resist change, it flows with it. It doesn't fear uncertainty, it dances with it. Because control is not the path to peace. Surrender is. The fifth chain is one most people never even recognize. And it's the most deceptive of all. It's the illusion of separation. The belief that you are alone. That you are a single being, isolated in your skin, cut off from others, from nature, from the divine. This illusion is the root of fear, greed, war, and suffering. When you believe you are separate, you protect yourself at all costs. You fight for survival. You chase status. You compete. You hoard. You attack. Because it's you versus everything else. But this is the great lie. You are not separate. You are a cell in the body of the universe. You are a wave in the ocean of consciousness. You are not in the world. You are the world, expressing itself in human form. When you break this final chain, something extraordinary happens. Compassion arises. Ego dissolves. The need to win, dominate, and prove disappears. And love, true love, not the romantic kind, but the all-encompassing awareness of unity, becomes your natural state. This is the beginning of real awakening. Not some mystical escape, but a radical re-entry into life, unchained. Once you begin to see the mental chains for what they are, not facts, but agreements, you start to sense a quiet power stirring within. Not the power to dominate others, but the power to reclaim your own mind. To observe your thoughts without becoming them. To rewrite the script you were given, word by word. But here's the paradox. The moment you begin to wake up, the world tries harder to put you back to sleep. You'll be tempted by comfort. Distractions will multiply. People close to you may mock your growth, not out of malice, but because your awakening challenges their sleep. The more free you become, the more threatening you seem to those still clinging to illusions. So, how do you continue forward? By practicing radical self-honesty. You must look at your life and ask, which of my thoughts are truly mine? Which beliefs did I inherit, absorb, or adopt without question? Who benefits from me staying afraid, obedient, distracted? This isn't easy. The ego will resist. It will defend its chains, call them truth, call them personality, call them just the way I am. But the soul knows better. The soul whispers, you are more than this. You've only begun. There is no liberation without self-inquiry, no awakening without inner rebellion. And here's the next chain you must confront, the worship of logic alone. Modern culture elevates reason like a god. If something can't be measured, proven, dissected, or explained, it's dismissed. Intuition, nonsense, symbolism, superstition, inner knowing, delusion. But ancient wisdom understood something we've forgotten. The mind is a tool, not a master. And logic is only one form of intelligence. There's also emotional intelligence, intuitive intelligence, somatic intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. When we reduce all truth to cold analysis, we amputate half of what makes us human. Your intuition is not a flaw. It is a compass. It knows things before they can be explained. It hears what logic misses. It feels what data cannot describe. The awakened being learns to balance reason with resonance, intellect with insight, evidence with experience. The next chain is more subtle. It is the fear of stillness. Most people are constantly in motion, physically, mentally, emotionally. Because to be still is to hear the silence. And in that silence, the truth begins to echo. This is why people avoid solitude, why they stay busy, why they scroll endlessly, talk endlessly, consume endlessly. Stillness feels like emptiness, but it's not. It's a mirror. When you are still, the mind has nowhere to hide. The illusions begin to crack. You see your wounds, your contradictions, your shadow. But you also begin to hear something deeper, the voice beneath all voices. Your true self. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the space where life regenerates. It is the sacred ground where transformation happens. The awakened mind doesn't run from stillness. It bows to it. It returns to it daily. Because in stillness, the real work begins. Another chain, one that enslaves billions, is the myth of one day. This is the belief that your life begins after the perfect job, after the perfect partner, after you heal, after you succeed, after you're ready. And so life becomes a constant delay, a waiting room, a preparation for something that never quite arrives, but one day is a spell, a trick of the mind. It keeps you chasing a horizon that keeps moving. Awakening means realizing that life is now, growth is now, love is now. Your power is not waiting to be unlocked in the future. It is waiting to be claimed in this moment, if not now, when the one day lie keeps you passive. But reality only responds to the present. You don't awaken later. You awaken by showing up fully, fiercely, and consciously now, even if you're afraid, even if you feel unready. And now, we must confront one of the most ancient chains of all, the fear of the unknown. Humans crave certainty, predictability, safety. But all growth, all truth, all awakening lives in the unknown. You cannot evolve while clinging to the familiar. You cannot become new while gripping the old. The unknown is not your enemy. It is the birthplace of every miracle. It is where the soul speaks clearest. It is the womb of transformation. To awaken, you must step into it, blindly at first, trustingly, courageously. You must become like the mystic, the poet, the child, who walks into mystery not with fear, but with wonder. The unknown will test you. It will strip away your false identities, but it will also give you something nothing else can: direct contact with your deeper nature. So, here's a question. What are you still pretending not to know? What calling are you ignoring because it doesn't come with guarantees? What truth is whispering to you from beyond the edge of your comfort? Only when you're willing to leap, without answers, will your wings appear. And finally, there is one more chain, perhaps the deepest, most hidden one. It is the illusion of powerlessness. The belief that you are just one person, that you can't change the world, that your voice doesn't matter, that you must adapt to systems rather than create new ones. This belief is not accidental. It is taught, reinforced, embedded. Because the moment you remember your power, the system begins to tremble. You are not powerless. You are not small. You are not here to blend in and survive. You are here to remember, to awaken, to speak, to create, to liberate others through your liberation. Power is not about control or domination. It is about truth, alignment, presence. When you walk in truth, when you think for yourself, when you love without needing to be loved back, you shake the illusion. And in shaking it, you invite others to do the same. The illusion of powerlessness is the last veil. Once it lifts, you don't just see the world differently. the world begins to respond differently to you. You start to notice strange alignments, synchronicities, moments that seem orchestrated, as if life itself is guiding you. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Everything external is an echo of the internal. The moment you break your mental chains, you don't become someone else. You return to who you were before the conditioning, before the noise, before fear taught you how to shrink. And that's when the real magic begins. You speak, and people feel it. You walk, and life opens around you. You act, and the ripple affects everything. Because a person who has remembered who they are is unstoppable. But don't confuse awakening with comfort. Waking up means you will no longer fit in. You'll no longer believe what everyone else believes. You'll stop seeking permission. You'll stop chasing applause. You'll start seeing manipulation for what it is, even when it comes disguised as love, religion, tradition, or safety. You'll become inconvenient, mysterious, quietly rebellious, and deeply alive. You'll feel things more deeply, both pain and beauty. You'll sense lies in conversations. You'll walk into rooms and feel energy before a single word is said. You'll understand why ancient mystics lived in solitude, not because they hated people, but because they loved truth more than approval. The awakened mind is not chaotic. It is clear. It doesn't need constant stimulation. It finds wonder in stillness. It doesn't seek status. It radiates presence. But here's the secret most never tell you. Awakening isn't a destination. It's a practice. A daily commitment to stay aware in a world designed to keep you numb. You will fall back asleep sometimes. That's okay. What matters is how quickly you return. So how do you stay awake? You return to the breath. You sit with yourself daily, even when it's uncomfortable. You question your thoughts, even the positive ones. You seek silence, not to escape the world, but to feel its deeper rhythms. You learn to say no to anything that doesn't honor your soul. You create, not for praise, but because expression is healing. You walk through fear, not because you're fearless, but because you're devoted. Most of all, you remember this. No one is coming to save you. But you were never meant to be saved. You were meant to remember your own light and use it to illuminate your path. The world does not need more followers. It needs more thinkers, more feelers, more awakened beings who see through illusion and live in truth. So if you've felt the call, if you've questioned the system, if you've stared at the ceiling at 3 a.m. wondering, is there more to life than this? Know this, you are not broken. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are waking up. And every time you choose awareness over reaction, curiosity over judgment, presence over distraction, you break another link in the chain. So here's the invitation. Don't wait. Don't ask for permission. Don't try to be perfect. Just begin. The moment you do, life begins to rise up to meet you. Because consciousness isn't something you chase, it's something you return to. Again and again. Until it becomes the way you breathe, speak, and move. And once it does, you become dangerous, not to others, but to illusion, to fear, to systems built on unconsciousness. You become a living reminder that freedom is not given, it's remembered. And when one soul remembers, others begin to remember too. So let me ask you this. Which mental chain are you ready to break? Today, share in the comments below. Let's awaken together, one mind at a time.